What we have here is a very simple turtle program. I run it, a turtle appears in the center of the screen, and if I click on the screen, it goes away. And what we want to do is make it so that the turtle is controllable using the up, down, and arrow keys, right? So I'm pressing them now, but turtle is not responding. So the first step for me solving this problem is going to going to Google and typing in Python turtle move with key. I click on the first link, which is Stack Overflow post, and Stack Overflow is this wonderful website where people with all different kinds of programming questions ask them, and they get answered. Right? There's a huge community of people who respond to these questions, and it's very structured in that if you ask a question that's a duplicate question on the system, it does not allow you to ask the question, right? So here we go. We go to the page here, Stack Overflow. The first post is always the question. So this is a wrong example, not something that you want to look into. The next answer down is the most highest voted up answer, right? So if we look at this, we can take a look and we could see that we're using wn.onKey. Okay, and if you go ahead and look at wn.onKey on the documentation, you'll see that what it does is it waits for this key to be pressed, and if it is pressed, it runs this function. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and grab one of these. We'll go to the Python. I'm going to put it right in here as the body of my program. In here is my function that I want to run. I'm going to say north. And now we could see that it's underlined red, so I need to define north. I'm going to say def north up here, and then what do I want to do? Well, I want to do t dot forward, right? I want to make him move forward like 10 spaces. But you'll see here that the t is red. And why is the t red? It's red because t was created right here on line 8, which is inside the function definition for main, which means the turtle variable or the t variable is local to main, which means he only exists in main, which means if I'm trying to reference him out here in the north function, he does not know what t is. Right? So what do we do usually when this happens? Well, we pass t as an argument to the north function, like so. And then we receive it up here as a parameter to the north function definition, and then voila, we can use t over here, right? But if we do that, it's not going to work out, I don't believe. Okay, so yeah, actually I think we can do that. So let's go ahead and do that. And if you notice, I was pressing the up key, seeing if it would move the turtle, but it's not moving the turtle, right? And why is that? Because I'm missing this wn.listen, right? Because this onKey function is a listening function, meaning when you run it for the entirety of your program, it's always listening to see if the up key is pressed. And once the up key is pressed, it runs this function, right? But in order for that to work correctly, we need to have wn.listen in here. So I go ahead and run that. And now I press the up key, and it's not working. Okay, so my suspicions were correct, that we cannot pass arguments to functions that are run using onKey. Okay, so that brings up a problem, or brings up an issue, like how do I get t to be seen up here in north but created over here in main? Well, what people normally do with their programs is they create the screen and the turtle, because they're probably going to be used in all these different functions, and they make them global. All right, and what does global mean? It means it can be seen in all of the function definitions. And now you must be thinking, well, how do I make it global? Well, what you do is you create them outside of a function definition. So I'm going to create them out here outside of a function definition, and all of a sudden you'll see it's not red anymore. And why? Because he's global and he can be seen everywhere. One thing you'll notice here is that we have this squiggly gray line on line 6 and line 9, right? Those squiggly gray lines are not good. What they're telling you is you're making a stylistic error, okay? And so you want to make them go away, and the way you make them go away is you hover over them, and they tell you what the error is. And it's saying expected 2 blank lines, found 1, right? Wanted 2 blank lines here, not 1. So if you continue to make the gray lines go away, then that'll standardize the style with which you're programming in Python, which means that you will now not program Python incongruently with all the other Python programmers in the world. All right, so let's listen to those gray lines. And now let's go ahead and run it and see if it works. I press my up key now, and now my turtle I hold it down and it continues to register and continues to move the turtle forward, right? It continues to run the north function, but I don't want him to run forward. I want him to point northward and then move forward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say t.setHeading. And if you're not sure what setHeading does, is it takes in the unit circle. So let's say degrees circle, and it uses these numbers, right? And what are these numbers? Ooh, it does not use these. Oh, it uses this one right here. All right, and so what is it? 0 is east, 90 is north, 180 is west, and 270 is south, 360 is east again, and then we can continue doing that, like 720 is east again, okay? But we're not going to need that. We just need 0, 90, 180, and 270. So I'm going to come over here, and since I want them to point northward, I'm going to put 90, and then I'm going to do my forward. So now if I run it, well, let's see. Okay, now that I run it, I press my my up key, it points them north, and it does that. Okay. So another thing that you might want to do is use tracer, so it's instantaneous, possibly. Another thing that you want to do is register all your other on keys, right? So if I want him to also move south, then I'm going to make a function definition for south. I am going to register the down click, and I need to define the south function, right, in the same way that I defined the north function. And one last thing that you might want to do is, instead of use a turtle, you might want to use an image, right? And so you know how to set the image as your cursor or whatever it is, this little object here, right? Instead of using a turtle, you can set it as an image, and then that way you can have a character moving around the screen instead of the generic turtle or arrow, right? And that's about it, right? Good luck with that.